We just have a lot of descriptive words for mayonnaise mixed with other things.
Welcome to the Purgatorious Pig Tavern podcast, the Dungeons and Dragons and Craft Beer Drinking podcast. I'm your GM Scott, and we have week 3 of our beer draft. This week we are doing lagers. Quickly recap where we stand in the rankings after 2 weeks.
Uh-oh.
Eric is in first place with 222 points out of a maximum of 240 possibly earned. Cole is in second with 209. I am in third with 208. Christina's fourth with 202. And Aaron is in fifth place with 140. But no, she has not used her flex spot yet. Everyone else has used their flex spot. So Aaron does have a week where she'll make up that ground and be right back in the thick of it.
I'm still trying to figure out what a flex spot is. So stay tuned.
Don't touch that dial. Coming soon. Aaron figures out what her flex spot is.
Listen to the Patreon.
Yeah.
So this week we are doing lagers. Aaron actually drafted a lager in the first round with the 5th pick. She took Rogue's Dead Guy Ale.
This one is special for me. It's probably my gateway into, or no, not probably. It was my gateway into craft brews. And surprisingly, it's a lager. I think it's surprising because of, it doesn't say lager anywhere on
It
the,
is
Yeah, take it away.
It is classified as a Maibach,
Yeah.
but is based on the definition of what a lager is. It is brewed in the lager style.
Yeah, boxer lagers.
Why? Because they can box?
Yeah. What was it? You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a buck.
Yeah.
You don't want to dodge
That's
a
how I
bock, though.
heard it.
You want to drink it. You drink a bock.
If you can drink a wrench, you could drink a buck.
Drink a Bach.
If you could drink a bock, you could drink a
I don't know
wrench.
about you guys. Oh, I've tried. Didn't work.
I do have the same sentiments as Aaron. This was one of my first introductions to craft beer. Rogue is one of the OGs in the craft beer world. Dead Guy is their flagship. They have recently come out with many variations of Dead Guy, which I've not tried yet. But this one's great. It's a great spring beer. It's crisp. Hits all those right notes. A little bit of malt flavor comes in. All around great beer. I'm also very mad because I thought I was going to be able to sneak this in a later round, given it's not classically called a lager. I thought I'd be able to sneak this in and get it in like a 4th or 5th round steal. That Aaron got it in the first.
Caught you sleeping.
Yep.
I will say, personally, I think I'm sleeping on this. I mean, I've had this beer before, but it never stuck out significantly in my mind as a beer to go to and just drink. If I saw it on tap, I would probably choose something else. I would shy away from it. I wouldn't necessarily jump into it. And I love German style beers, so it has nothing to do with the style itself. It's just I always thought it was a little bit more bitter than it is, and I didn't think it was as smooth as it is. So I am pleasantly surprised with how good this is. And coming in at 7%, it's kind of terrifying because it's pretty smooth for a 7% beer. So yeah, delicious.
Yeah. I mean, I like this beer. It's been a go-to for a long time, but I haven't gone to it in a long time because the stuff around here has gotten so good. And the Rogue itself has been kind of like flushed out of the market here, which kind of sucks because I really like their stuff. And, this is a great beer. Yeah, that's it.
Ouch.
What do you mean, ouch?
I don't know. Could have said more.
You want me to say more about it?
No. You just give it a high score. I'll be happy. All I can say about it while Christina drinks it is that I got a kick-ass growler of it once that had the skeleton up against a tree, and it glowed in the dark.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I have no idea where it went.
I have the tap handle in my personal collection of tap handles.
Nice.
I like this beer. I think it's good. It has a lot more flavor. It has more of like a cooked smoky taste to it, more like an amber maybe. I enjoy it. I think it's good. It definitely has a lot more distinct flavor than I feel like most lagers that I've drank. But I'm also not a lager drinker, so my immature palate says that this is a good one.
Going back to Cole's comment earlier, is this not something you guys went to because you had many more different options on tap? Because this Rogue with Dead Guy was kind of for us one of those ones similar to like a Sam Adams that was almost always on tap, even if you had like a kind of a shittier selection at the bar you were going to. Rogue usually was there for a long time.
Yeah, either on draft or in bottles.
Yeah.
Was readily available at any bar we
Yeah.
went to.
I guess thinking back on it, it probably was fairly available. I think I recall it being available, but it just never was my go-to or a beer that I would just gravitate toward. And maybe this is some experience that I had early on that when I was, I didn't have a sophisticated palate. I didn't quite understand the beer. I didn't know the beer as well, and I maybe tried it and didn't really like German beers. So I didn't like German beers when I first started drinking them. Dunkels, Maibachs, Hefs.
Oh.
And I grew into that, and now I love the style. So I think maybe it's just a function of not having it for so long and having had a bad experience with it initially, something along those lines. But I do recall Dead Guy being common in life
Oh, okay.
for a good portion of my life, but I couldn't tell you one way or another. When Spotted Cow was on tap growing up, you kind of get
Oh.
Spotted Cow.
Yeah, that's true.
Must be nice.
It's all right.
When you're a wee baby growing up on Spotted Cow. Hey, you want to go around and tell me how I did?
No,
we
that's
do that at the very end.
Damn it!
Got him.
Next on the list, we actually fall all the way down to the 4th round before the next lager was taken. And Cole, with the 3rd pick of the 4th round, takes Avery Brewing's The Kaiser.
Ooh, I forgot I picked this beer.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. This is
Why?
going to kick me out.
Good old the Kaiser.
Is that mayonnaise on your table?
Yes, I love mayonnaise with my lagers.
Yeah, why don't you have mayonnaise on
you,
your table?
you heard it here first.
So yeah, we've talked about Avery a lot on the podcast, and both the beer draft and the D&D, and it's just a great brewery. It's one of my favorite breweries ever, and going there quite often back when we lived in Colorado, it was always a good place to just hang out, have a few beers, and I would always find myself gravitating to the Kaiser when it was available. It's just always been on my radar as a go-to when I'm there. Once I get tired of whatever else I'm having, I like to try the exotic one-off beers, limited release beers. So it's just a beer I love drinking at the brewery. So it seemed appropriate that it would be my lager for the draft.
Do you miss Avery?
I do. Some good breweries here too. So I will always miss Avery. It will always try to be a destination, but something tells me I might not make it back. I might not make it back.
Ever?
For a long time. I mean, unless it's
If
an
we go back-
intentional trip.
If we go back to Colorado, we know we're going to the northern part of Denver, though, to Longmont, Lyons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll go to those places for sure. So it's just always been one of my go-tos at the brewery.
What's this clock in at?
8%.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
So this is reading the can, an Imperial Oktoberfest lager.
Oh,
That kind of
I
changes
thought we
things.
thought this was gonna be a lighter draft.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah. I think this one's kind of interesting because we kind of run the gamut of what a lager is. So most people kind of probably think of a lager as your yellow beer that you get in a can.
Your pissy yellow beer.
Yeah,
The quote
It's
stone.
yellow
yeah.
beer.
Yeah, but
But-
it's like you're a well hydrated person.
but
Is
it's,
an MGD a lager?
yeah.
Not a sponsor.
We kind of run the gamut here. This is an Imperial Oktoberfest,
Yep.
not a Mars,
Yeah.
just an
It
Oktoberfest.
is. Based on the can says Oktoberfest lager.
Okay, because I think there's if you go to Germany, there's Oktoberfest lagers and there's Marzens, and they're two separate types of lagers.
Well, the can says brewed with Rocky Mountain water, malted barley, imported German specialty malted barley, noble German hops, and German lager yeast.
What if you
So-
don't go to Germany? Does that change how the
Then
beers
it's
operate?
a sparkling fest lager.
Yes.
Sparkling Fest lager.
Sparkles.
Scott, do we have any history on like lagers and like what defines a lager?
It's the yeast. A lager is a beer that is brewed below a certain. It's brewed normally, but it's when it's fermented, it's technically lagered, and the lager yeast can't survive past like 30 something degrees Fahrenheit. It has to be fermented very cold. So that's why when you guys were out in the Rockies, Tap the Rockies Coors Light, they would say it's brewed below 32 or whatever. It wasn't actually brewed below 32. It was fermented below 32 because the yeast won't survive.
You would think yeast would die.
So lagers are actually very difficult to make. I made one once, and it was like 6 tries of us trying to make it, and we only got to do it because it was a very cold winter and we could store it outside below 32 for like a month. Typically, yeah.
Oh, just threw it in the snow.
Yep, that's exactly what we did.
Huh.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
It's like the opposite of what you think of when you think of yeast stuff, like bread, for example. You have to heat up the
Mhm.
water, warm something up to activate the yeast.
And then you want to let the dough rise and next to like a warm location.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like this beer. I had the one before it. I'm not going to do a comparison, but I really want to. For the style, it does a really good job. I give it a...
No.
Don't
Oh.
say.
Damn it. I really want to. I think, yeah, I can see why this would be your go-to at Avery. Great amber color to this beer. Excellent mouthfeel. And it does a good job. Don't say mouthfeel.
No, I was gonna say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but actually now to your point, I dissed Dead Guy, and I said that I probably didn't like it because I thought it was more bitter, and this beer is more bitter.
Yeah, that's why I was like...
I like it. I like it equally as much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's funny.
That's why I was. It's actually interesting that these came back to back because they taste surprisingly similar, but with a different type of bitterness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
See, I don't know. When I first had Dead Guy, like I said, it has a really toasty kind of taste to it. Versus, I feel like this had a much sweeter taste.
Yeah.
A sweeter.
Yeah, I agree with Christina's point there. I think this is sweeter.
Yeah.
It is sweeter, but it still has the tanginess.
Well, it's sweeter in a different way. So like the sweetness is really up front, but it's got a more bitterness in the back end. Why are we looking at pictures of pictures here? He's trying to incept us.
This is, I think, a great representation of an Oktoberfest style beer. It is sweet. It's got all the right malty notes to it. It is clean, like you expect a lager to be. I think you kind of know this one does pack a little bit more punch than Dead Guy did.
Well, it says Imperial on it, so
Well, even just from the taste, like like if I didn't know it was an Imperial, does got a little bit more of a punch to it. But yeah, Avery is always doing solid stuff, so this one doesn't disappoint.
yeah, I agree. This is a really great beer. I know we've had this quite a bit with Cole over the years, and I'm not surprised he picked this. I'm happy he did because we got to have it one last time.
One last time.
Last time.
No, I'm kidding. But
One last time. One last time.
there's our bard. We missed you.
I don't know why, but the way you sounded through the microphone through my headphones, you sounded like you put on the Phil Collins filter.
Take me home.
Is that just me, or are you guys hearing
'Cause I
that too?
don't
Kind
remember.
of like tinny.
The Phil Collins filter. Stepped on your effects
Feel it
pedal.
coming in the air tonight. Hold on.
That was a disservice to Phil Collins.
Wow. Okay. I see how it is.
I mean, I'll sing Blink on here, but Phil Collins is not. I don't want to.
You want to get on that side.
Today has been not relevant, but I feel like I saw it in the background on you guys. I've been listening to 16 Stone all day, so
Mm-hmm.
No, it's is it the 30th anniversary?
is
Yeah,
it?
Yeah, we're going to see them in Boston the week
94.
after. Yeah, the week after Metallica, we're going to see them in Boston on their like
Sheesh.
30th anniversary tour.
That's gonna be awesome. Let me know if Gavin Rossdale is just as cute as everyone says.
We saw him before, and he is cuter.
He is cute.
I think cute is not the word. Sexy.
He's a babe.
Yeah.
And with the third lager on our list, Eric in the 5th round, second pick, took Long Trail Brewing's Double Bag.
Yeah, this is a beer that I love. Long Trail, I think their flagship beer is an alt beer, and then Double Bag is a which actually is a single bag is their first one. I don't know.
it's a one nipple lager.
Triple bag.
Triple
Do they have
bag?
Triple bag.
Is there also a
Triple
tea
bag
bag?
is after double bag.
I love Long Trail Brewing. They've been around for a long time. They've been harder and harder to find recently, even in the Northeast, which is kind of sad. They make really, really, really crisp, clean, great styles. And they started out with these German style beers. Long Trail's Double Bag is a Doppelbock, and it's a style of beer that is not done as frequently as I wish. And this is one of my favorite versions of it. So cheers, guys. Hope you enjoy it.
This one clocks in at 7.2%.
Ah, splitting hairs here.
The name of this beer and the label makes me uncomfortable because it's got 2 cows and it's called Double Bag, and all I can think of is an udder as a bag. And I'm thinking there's 2 cows in the front and it's just a bag.
Exactly, you got it.
And it's like a brown label. So when I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a bottle of chocolate milk. And it's not chocolate milk.
Ah,
It's
how many
No, I
stomachs
think-
do cows have?
how many stones?
Stomachs.
6?
3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Between 6 and 3.
Did you guys ever stick your hand in one?
Have you?
A cow stomach?
Yeah, that must be a Wisconsin thing.
I think that's a Wisconsin thing.
They took us to a farm. We did a field trip to a farm, and they had a cow that had a window in its stomach, and it was there for demonstration purposes. But it was
Oh
a
my
live
God.
cow, and they just
Yeah.
like put a window in it.
What?
Yeah.
Why
I've seen
would
that on
they
TV.
do that to
and
the
you
cow?
and you could open it, and you can stick your hand in, and you can just like feel all the mushroom.
Yeah. Oh my
That
God.
is
Hey,
brutal.
Anyways,
So the chocolate milk.
so the bottle looks like it wants to be chocolate milk in a bottle, and then you drink it, and it's definitely a lager. To Eric's point, it's very crisp. It's very clean. I often say, and I don't even know how accurate this is. I ask breweries when I'm there, and I say, they must use really good filtered water. And I feel like in some cases you can actually taste that it's well filtered water. And I feel that way with this beer. When I'm drinking it, I can taste the water, the crispness of the water that they use during the brewing process.
Is it from
And
a well?
if it's from a well, it's filtered very well. But it's a tasty beer. It's a great lager. Again, like all of these, I think the Kaiser felt the most boozy thus far, but this does not feel like 7.2. I could just drink this casually and enjoy a few of them and not realize that it's 7.2% alcohol.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. This is I definitely taste the booze. It cuts midway between the last 2 that we had in sweetness and tartness, so it's just really refreshing.
Yeah, it kind of cuts that too with like the alcohol. As
Yeah.
well. It's just
It's a really tasty beer. I think, damn it, I hate to say it, but I think so far this is the most drinkable. Like the most you can drink more of these than the other 2.
Wow.
And yeah, the bags are udders.
The bag, is that what it's supposed to be?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because if we have to look up triple bag and see if there's 3 cows on the label, and then we'll know.
I think there are 3 cows in that one.
Is there dairy in this?
No.
Eric would have
he
done
chose.
himself dirty if he chose
That
the
would
beer
have been
with
a
lactose
bad day.
Hashtag YOLO.
Well, not if I don't have to rate it, then I don't have to drink it. That's what I should have done impermanence for the stout, and then not had to drink it.
I did take impermanence, but then you guys reminded me that we made the rule.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So the bottle says our legendary double amber ale is smooth, complex, and loaded with roasted malt flavors and sweet notes of caramel and chocolate. Bittering hops balance the bags of malt in this brew. So bags is the number of bags of malt. Look at that.
Only 2 bags of malt. I don't
We've
think so.
solved
I
it.
don't believe it.
Only 2 bags. How big are the bags? 50-pound bags?
Oh wait, is this like Chips Ahoy? 2 bags of malt per bottle? per
maybe.
six-pack?
Ooh, yeah.
1,000
Two-
chips.
2 bags of
Two.
chips.
Too many bags.
It's just a melted biscuit of chocolate. Too many bags.
And so this beer, yeah, has got that nice golden amber color for the style. It's crisp, like a lager should be. It's definitely malt forward, delicious beer. Really sad that it's very hard to get Long Trail. Used to be able to find it anywhere, and now it's like I think locally Costco is about the only place that sells it. Maybe
Really?
maybe some smaller liquor stores, but like I don't see it almost
That's
That's
ever.
quite the spectrum. Costco versus.
Costco has it?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
That's so random.
That is random. The hell?
Where is it from?
Vermont.
Vermont. I like this one. I'm with Aaron. It's probably my favorite of the 3 so far. So we get one kind of toasty one very sweet one, and I think this one's like right in the middle.
Just right.
Yeah.
Goldilocks.
With the fourth lager off the board, Christina, in the 6th round, second pick, took Yingling's traditional lager.
Well, I chose this beer mostly because it has a lot of sentimental value to me.
Sentimental.
Me too.
Growing up in Philadelphia, obviously, like
Born and
Yingling is a
raised.
huge, not quite born, but yes, raised.
Playgrounds where I spent most of my
Yingling
days.
is obviously the primary beer. It's like the spotted cow, I guess you could say, of the area. Basically, it's the oldest brewery in the country, and also considered one of the largest wholly American brewed beers as well. So it is a man from Germany, moved here in the 1800s.
Some asshole.
No. And he started the brewery back in 1829. Very well-known brewery, I guess, in this coal mine area. Survived Prohibition because it created these near beers. So where it was like under 0.5%, I think is what it was considered. But something that they could still create. They still had a product through Prohibition, and they also started ice cream. Dairy product.
Yingling did?
Yeah. And that's what basically helped it survive through Prohibition. Then it created, multiple beers since then, had this big, the winter beer, which celebrates the repeal of Prohibition. And they sent a whole truckload to the White House to Roosevelt to be like, thanks, dude.
Have you been there?
Where?
So
Brewery.
I have not. My whole family went while I had to work at the pool at the Y one day. So
What a
I
shitty
have
day
not,
to have to go to work at the pool at the Y.
I get it. And the fact that it's entirely family owned. So it's still within the Yingling family. And now there's 2 daughters who currently work at Yingling. One of them is going to be, I guess, the new owner of it. I read something about how it follows the traditional way. I'm not sure how true this is, but how the traditional way of the next of kin will purchase it from their parents. And so it follows an interesting transaction history. I don't know if that was only at the very beginning. I don't know if they do that now. I don't understand the legality of that either, but kind of an interesting thing, that tidbit that they did. They also reintroduced their ice cream.
Oh, yeah, they
Did
did.
they?
Too long ago.
Mhm.
Yes, you can get Yingling ice cream. Keep an eye out for it. It will likely only be, I think, in the state of Pennsylvania and the state of Florida.
We should get
'Cause that's
someone.
where their other main brewery is. And so it's a pretty interesting, awesome brewery. The lager itself, this is their traditional lager, which is one of their flagships. And it is also considered to be the lager in the pre-prohibition times. So for mass-produced craft beer, pre-prohibition lager, all of that considered. It's I don't know, pretty interesting. My dad also only drinks this beer. He will not drink anything else. We've been trying to help him define his beer palate for years, but ultimately we came to the conclusion that the only thing he really likes is Yingling, and that's why I love it.
What a revolutionary tale that was. Literally.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I get it
Get
now.
I can taste the
Mhm.
prohibition.
So I believe Yingling uses corn, right? So they use corn in their lager. So this has a completely different mouthfeel and profile compared to the other lagers we've had so far in this draft. It's a lot lighter in flavor, more along the lines of what I think most of our listeners, unless they're really into craft beer, would picture what a lager tastes like and looks like.
It's still got more
Mhm.
body to it than I think that though, and I think that's one of the things that Yingling has been known for. But
Mm.
I'll go into that. My turn.
What's the percentage on this?
It's 4.5 something.
Yeah.
It's light for
4.8.
the amount of flavor that you get from it. It's also the only beer that you could really doesn't have. It's clear. You can see through it.
See
It's
the
not.
double bag.
It was a little cloudier than this though. It's the clearest beer.
It is, yes.
Yeah. I'm rating them again. My rating is on taste, smell, color, and mouthfeel. And by color, I mean is it cloudy? Is it?
What's it look like?
What does it look like? Yeah.
What emotion does it entice in me when I look at it?
Exactly. Would I want to jump into it in a big tub and swim around? That's really what I
Maybe.
definitely in this beer. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
Yep.
that. Yeah, that sounds nice.
I've been to the Yingling Brewery, actually. I went with Christina's family while she was working.
It's like, what's up? I'm Eric. They're like, who's Eric? Be like, me.
I'm from the future.
I'm in the future.
No, I actually went with my buddy Johnny B. We went to go pick up my brother.
Oh, Johnny B.
Yeah.
Hey, Jenna B.
If you guys haven't heard that episode, go listen to that. We didn't even get into this epic tale, but I've been to the brewery. We had a really nice time there, sort of. It's an interesting story. The lady that took us around had such a thick like mountain Pennsylvania accent. You could get every other word out of what she was saying. That's how you knew it was like
Love it.
family owned.
Love it.
But they, going back to the question of what's a lager, they had caves deep beneath the brewery where they would store all the barrels and lager all the stuff down there because it was a constant like 30 something degrees all year round. So that's how they lagered everything.
In the old coal mines. That would make
So-
sense. Yeah.
So to add to this, today I had a conversation with a coworker who actually brought up his Yingling tour, ironically, and he was mentioning
He's
that
also
there's
with
the tunnel
Christina's
between.
family.
Yeah, he was with them. He was like, you know the Stempers, and I was like, oh yeah. He's like, I was with them when I went on this tour, and there was this Jewish guy too. He was really nice. He knew a lot about beer. I don't know what was going on with him, but he just got really drunk and wandered
That's
off.
what
Who knows? Got denied it. I saw him later on. He said he saw you later on, trying to get into a bar, and the bouncer was like, "Oh no, you're too drunk to get in here." But then you went next door and you went into that bar. So
Classic.
You got it.
Classic.
So anyway, he was telling me that there's a tunnel, if not this tunnel, another tunnel that actually linked it to a church that was nearby. And they would wheel all of the alcohol to the church during Prohibition because churches weren't getting searched. And so when they were making the alcohol during Prohibition, they'd put it under the church. And if anybody came in to search the brewery, they didn't have anything that was there, the barrels and everything like that. And it would be underneath the church. The church was hiding the beer.
That's
They didn't-
awesome.
They didn't tell me that on the tour, but we got there like halfway through the tour. But it's a interesting spot. It's way the hell out there in Allegheny country.
Pottsville.
Yeah, Pottsville. Back to the beer itself. It was a go-to of my dad when I was growing up because I'm also from the outside Philly area.
My dad as well, who's not from Philly, but I used to bring this beer
Yeah,
back for him.
I did the same thing. We would go pick up my brother because he was in school, and my sister. They were both in school in and outside Philly. My sister went to Penn, and one time we went down for a wedding, and we walked out of the liquor store down there with 2 hand trucks full of Yangling that we were bringing back for our friends. But we were dressed in tuxedos, and my sister wore a nice red dress. And the people were like, "What the hell are you doing?" We were like, "Don't worry about it."
BWRUN, beer run.
Yep. Anyway, this year it's good. It's sweeter because I think of the corn. It's clearer than the other two for sure. It's got a very, very, very classic taste. This brings me back to my illegal drinking days because I used to have friends that would bring this up to school, and we would bring it back.
I like this beer. It's if you want a flavored beer, Christina drew the parallel to Spotted Cow, and I think that's a very good parallel, at least in my mind, because when I think about the East Coast, when we were living on the East Coast, the go-to beer for me was Yingling. It's like being back in Wisconsin. The go-to beer for me, if I don't really want to make a decision, I don't want to drink some kind of weird light beer. I don't want to drink a Pilsner. I don't want to drink anything like that. I want something that has a little more flavor, but
Standard.
that doesn't have a bunch of alcohol. That's a craft beer. And for me, that was Yingling. And I could drink a case of these in a day and be okay with it. I'm not an alcoholic. And they're just so drinkable, so see-throughable, which means they're a little bit lighter.
See-throughable.
Yeah, it is.
but they have-
it
they have-
is. Clear.
Yeah.
You can swim
And
in
then
it.
Transparent, as the scientists say.
See-through.
And it's very delicious. It has a good amount of flavor for what it is. And, they've been doing it for more than 100 years, 150 years, whatever. They got it down. Easy as that.
I think this is the most swimmable beer of all the beers you've had. If you were to fill up a pool with this beer, this is the one you'd want to swim in so far. This is another beer. Yeah, I went to school in the Philly area, and they only sold liquor in liquor stores and beer in beer stores. So
Your yards.
Yep. Beer
Oh,
yards. Sorry.
Actually, that's the reason that Yingling was able to stay afloat was because of the laws in Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry. Is this your story or is this my
No.
story?
This is a real. This is Yingling. This is Yingling's
He's
story.
This is a history lesson. The Quakers had a very strong hold on the laws in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Very interesting history.
remember-
This is actually the narrator.
Because we couldn't have an apartment with more than 3 women or it was a brothel. And that law was actually enforced when I was in school.
They'd kick down your door and count the women.
Yeah. And then if you had 4 women, you must have been dealing sex. What else could you be doing?
Yeah, everyone's doing homework.
Yeah.
You're dealing sex in
Oh,
here.
man. It was a brothel. Yeah.
I'm studying microbiology.
It's a brothel.
It made it very difficult for you to split rent equally in a space. So actually,
For
at
you
the
to
end of the-
actually run
at
a
the end of the day,
brothel.
you had to actually run a brothel to afford to live in the area.
Stop sexing for rent.
Comes full circle there.
Anyway, yeah. So I used to bring this beer up. Actually, it was Black and Tan was my dad's favorite because it had
Oh yeah.
is a darker beer. It was their darker style.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a dark.
No, it's a mix of their porter and I think Lord Chesterfield ale. Is that the two?
Yeah, it's Lord Chesterfield. Yep.
God, my sister loves Lord Chesterfield.
I always thought it was Yingling and just a dark version of Yingling is what I thought it was, but that they labeled as Black and Tan. But
No,
yeah,
their porter's actually really good.
I didn't realize they've been making the black and tan that long. I
Yeah.
thought that was more of a recent
no,
thing.
it's been around for a while. So yeah, this Yingling and their flagship and Black and Tan I used to ferry up back home as a Christmas present every year. It was very easy gift.
From the brothel to your family.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to go to college for move in for the year, or at the beginning of the year, we would drive all the way from Philly to where I went to school, and I would find a way to basically sneak in an entire case of Yingling, both the lager and Lord Chesterfield, into my dorm room. And
That lasts you the first weekend.
looking back on
How did
that,
you sneak
yeah,
it
to
in?
basically survive. Well, no, just because you were moving in, so you just hid it in all of this, your sheets
amongst
and
boxes and
your
stuff,
bedding
yeah.
and clothes and stuff. Looking back, that is the most random thing for a freshman or sophomore in college to be drinking, is a bottle of Lord Chesterfield ale.
It actually is, yeah.
Oh yeah, where you were.
Why? That's definitely not the type of beer that I mean, the regular lager, but Lord Chesterfield is a
Wild card.
real wild card.
Yeah, you didn't show up with Coors Light or anything. You showed up with Lord Chesterfield. Everyone's like, "The fuck
No,
is
I
this?"
remember-
Got some cred.
I moved in. My roommate was already there. So I got in and we were talking, whatever, had gotten dinner. It was getting ready for school or whatever the next day. I was like, so you want a beer? Hang out for the evening? And I was like, I feel so old right now. Being like, let's have a beer for the end of the day. And then we'll, just watch some TV, and then I'm gonna go to bed, get up and go to school the next day.
In your recliner, your stained recliner.
Right? No, in my
In front of your
my
tube
college
TV with the
dorm
antenna,
room,
and
I'm
you gotta
like,
get up and
I'm gonna
adjust
have
it.
a beer before I go to bed. I'm 18 years old.
I
So
thought you said you had
weird.
18 beers before you went to bed.
No.
All right. The 5th beer and final beer in the lager draft I took in the 7th round in the first pick. It's Night Shift Brewing's Limelight. I took Night Shift's Limelight. I stumbled upon Night Shift on a random trip up to Boston. I had heard of them, never tried anything of theirs. Went to the brewery. I think I did a flight and then was looking to kill some more time and had their regular light lager. Then they started to distribute more. They got down into the Connecticut area. Saw Limelight during one summer. And this, to me, essentially is a much better version of Bud Light Lime. So it hits that summer beer. You want to be able to drink a lot of them after cutting the grass type taste. So, yeah, that's why I went with this one. It is a completely different flavor profile of the 4 other beers we've had today.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I like it. It's refreshing. It cleans the palate. Scott, do you spend a lot of time mowing the lawn?
I do. Every week, hour plus.
You rate a lot of your beers based off of how well you could mow the lawn to them. With them.
I do.
I
It's a
like
very-
that. I like that as a criteria.
It's like
That's
some
pretty-
people are like, "Can I
it's
listen to this
nice.
album while mowing the lawn?" Scott's like, "Can I drink this beer while I'm mowing?"
I'm
the
not going
lawn?
to crack open a bottle of Logic after standing in the sun, 100-degree weather in the sun, doing manual labor.
You don't want a banana cream pie beer
No.
that's like 15% while you're mowing the lawn
With
Just-
lactose?
Oh, yeah.
No. We'll pass.
I agree. It's like a fantastic Bud Light Lime, but I feel like saying or comparing it to a Bud Light Lime is doing it a disservice because in its own right, it's a beer with lime squeezed in it. And I say that and it sounds poor, but like the way the flavors meld is very well done.
You're saying it's like
very
it's an authentic lime taste, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, like they squeeze
not
the
a
limes, they put the lime rinds in there,
headache.
and it you didn't get the bitterness of the rinds, but the way that the flavors meld within the beer, you get right on the tip of your tongue when you taste it, you get the lime flavor, and then as the beer progresses, you get a little bit of the bitterness from the lager, and it's a really refreshing ride because you get the lime, and it's like, oh yeah, refreshing. And then you taste the beer, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's a beer, and it kind of like it tastes like a Sprite or like a lime soda at the beginning because the lime flavor does so well, and the transition is so smooth to the beer flavor.
It hits you in the back of the tongue too. It leaves like a nice light, refreshing aftertaste at the back there, and I think that's probably what
At the back there,
is doing it for me. Yeah, I think to Cole's point, if you've had a Bud Light Lime, it's absolutely doing a disservice to compare the two because the lime flavor in a Bud Light Lime is really, really kind of fake, and it
Yeah.
doesn't do this.
it's like lime and
Yeah.
Bud Light.
Yeah,
Kind
And
of
then you
headache inducing.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a Bud Light Lime, so I can't compare the two.
There's, I think Coronas with lime have the same problem.
Mm.
Actually, I
Yeah.
think Corona with lime might actually be closer to this one than the Bud Light Lime, but
I would agree, but the Corona with lime, I feel like the lime gets finished at the top of the beer because the lime is so
Yeah.
acidic that it's
Mhm.
lighter than the beer, and you drink it in the first couple drinks, and then it's gone, and it's just a Corona. Not that
Oh
that's
no,
bad.
no,
but
I'm not saying when you put a lime in a Corona. I'm saying I think they made a Corona with lime essence.
Put
or
a
whatever.
lime in
I don't
a
remember
coconut.
that.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really light. It's really refreshing. Scott, I could drink this while you mow your lawn.
Yeah, we can all
while I
drink,
watch you mow
we
your
can
lawn.
all drink this while we watch you mow your lawn. Yes, yeah, yeah. I can also drink this while Scott mows his lawn. Everything you said was accurate. A little cloudy in color, but the lightest beer we've had all day, all
Very
night,
see-through.
all evening.
See through.
It's somewhat see-throughable.
It's kind of got a lime color.
Yeah, cool. You nailed it on the head. It's definitely on the lighter side of beers, but I wouldn't put it in the same category as, say, a Bud Light or a Bud Light
Right.
Lime or a Corona. It's definitely smoother, more drinkable than either of those, even though they market themselves as being very drinkable. They're not. You should try this instead.
Not as easily accessible, unfortunately. They shut down their
They did?
They remember?
Yeah.
They couldn't.
the CO.
Because of CO2
Yeah.
shortage.
Yeah, they're back up and running.
Huh.
But they had to let people go, and they closed a couple tap rooms. And
Yeah, they definitely had to shrink a little bit because of that.
Well, I
They
think
did.
in the Northeast, it's still very accessible.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it was
That
really
that
hard for us.
Veronica Vaughn is one nice piece of Irish.
We had to go to Massachusetts to find this.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Was that us?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
No, you didn't.
Well, I defer to who's next in line to rate this beer.
First off, I really like Night Shift as a brewery. It's one of my favorite breweries. Eric, actually, you were the one who introduced us to it when we went to our very first Extreme Brew Fest in Boston. We went to
That
Night
was
Shift the
sick
night
as
before, and
Yeah, you
it
were.
is the cleanest beer. Like, you drink any of their beers and it is just fresh. Like, it tastes so good. It is very, very, very smooth, very, very clean. And what I think is interesting about this beer is it definitely has the same, like, it reminds you of what a Bud Light Lime would wishes it could be. In my mind, I think it's cool that it hits, craft beer lovers who also appreciate Night Shift would love it. But also, if you like a light lime tasting beer, if you are part of that, Bud Light Lime group or consumer, you would still be able to really enjoy this as a craft beer. And so I like that it kind of melds the two together in that way, just the way that it tries to kind of take two very, very different beer consumers and brings it together. That being said, it's an amazing beer.
I give
Very
it a 3.
crisp, very clean, nice, fresh, clean taste of lime. And
I think as Christina was talking and giving her review of the beer,
My monologue?
I thought about this, and we're comparing it to one beer. It's interesting to me that citrus pairs very well with beer. I mean, you have beers like Corona where they put a lime in it when they crack a bottle. A lot of people put a lime right in it right there. It's curious that a lot more breweries don't try and tackle this and add more citrus to their beers. I mean, there's a lot of like tangerine and orange notes, but not a lot of lime or lemon. I wonder why. Because this is very well done. It seems like a fairly approachable way to brew a beer.
But it's different because it doesn't taste like notes of something. It literally tastes like you squeezed a lime into the beer. Like, it is so perfectly fresh. And this tastes so fresh for even a beer that's coming from a can without putting a lime slice on top of it.
But that's my point. I think usually, and this is for whoever's listening that may be a brewer or is a brewer, and critiquing what we're talking about like we're a bunch of idiots. We don't 100% know what we're talking about. But I believe that it is rinds. Like, they use the rinds. They don't use the fruit itself. And the rinds tend to not have a ton of citrus, but they have the flavor of the
Yeah.
fruit.
Yeah.
If rinds is what they use, which is what I assume that they're using, I don't get any bitterness, which
Yeah.
rinds tend to be very bitter. So it's just
It
very
depends.
well done.
Yeah, I think I don't think they add bitterness. I think they added a punch of flavor though.
yeah, no, like they got
Yeah.
a lime guy who's just picking out the perfect limes.
Yeah,
Maybe
the,
they
the, the
do.
pith is usually what's better.
Yeah, the pith is bitter, but
Right.
if you get exactly.
I guess you could do zest, right?
Zest. You're thinking of zest is what you're thinking of. I couldn't think of the word, but thank you.
Yeah.
The hops and citrus paired well together.
That's true.
They
So
do,
this
yeah.
is why
I mean,
like
hops are
when the hops
Citra.
are clean and come through, pairs well with citrus.
This is probably the least malt forward lager we had.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's the can say?
It says the least malt forward lager.
You've had.
Light lager with lime flavor. It's lime flavor. It's not even fresh limes, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
it
that
might
convince?
be. It might be an adjunct that they use because that's a.
Yep.
It's a. Adjuncts are typically.
A flavor.
No, but they're more repeatable.
And for those of you counting your macros, 120 calories, 8.1 grams of carbs, 0.7 grams of fat, 1.1 grams of protein.
What's a
So if you were to
macro?
drink 18 of these, you would get about 20 grams of protein. Sick. That's a post-workout snack right there.
Yeah.
And
A case is you hydrate and get protein at the same time.
Yeah,
Shit, man.
a pretty good nap in there at the end.
And you're carb loaded for your jog tomorrow. So
It's like a win-win-win.
First up with Aaron's pick, Rogue's Dead Guy Ale. Eric, what did you give it?
18.
Cole,
19.
Damn, son.
Christina.
17.
I gave it an 1872.
Plus 72.
I was right.
Cole's pick, Avery Brewing's The Kaiser. Eric.
18.
Aaron.
17.
Christina.
17.
I gave it an 18. That's a
That's not
70.
bad.
Eric's Long Trail Brewing's Double Bag. Aaron.
17.
Cole.
18.
Christina.
18.
I gave it a 17.
That's a 70.
Christina's pick, Yingling's Traditional Lager. Eric.
16.
16.
Aaron gives it a 16. Cole.
18.
I give it a 17. 67. And then with my pick, I took Night Shift's Limelight. Eric.
17.
Aaron.
16.
Cole.
18.
Christina.
18.
69.
69.
Nice.
For the Lager Week, first place, Aaron with Rogue's Dead Guy Ale. Then tied for second, we have Avery Brewing's The Kaiser. And Long Trail Brewing's Double Bag, picked by Cole and Eric. 4th place is Night Shifts Brewing Limelight, picked by me. And last place for this week is Yingling Traditional Lager, picked by Christina.
That's really interesting because we spent the most time talking about Yingling.
Because the history
It's the
is
oldest brewery.
the history is really interesting. Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean the beer is
Yeah,
great.
that's true.
Although I
The
feel like
beer
we
is
need
great.
a different phrase for how we say last beer, last place, because there's still really good beers that
Yeah.
we're choosing.
Caboose.
The caboose.
The caboose.
You just came up with that really quickly.
Overall rankings are unchanged.
Woo!
So Eric's total is 292 out of a possible 320. Cole's got 279. I have 277. Christina, you have 269. And Aaron, 212.
All right, I gotta
But
get
You haven't used a.
my
to
flex
get your
in there.
flex.
It's gonna blow your minds.
Once
It's gonna
you
be a
figure out
beer
what
you
it
could
is.
swim in.
Is it though?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
It's gonna be your Belgian.
No. No, it's definitely a beer you cannot swim in and will not swim in. It'll get you drunk.
It'll get you drunk.
Thank you for listening. Go follow us on Instagram, follow our Discord, follow us on wherever you listen to your podcasts. This has been a Widgety Widgets production.
Na, na,